Welcome to the 2018 winter forecast video discussion. I'll take you through briefly what my methodology is behind the forecast, and always an exciting time of year. We always try to speculate on what's going to happen, and to be honest with you, half the time I'll probably be wrong, but I'm giving it my best shot, and this is what we got. So starting off with temperatures, I'm expecting, most of my viewers are in the Northeast, so for the Northeast I'm expecting for temperature-wise, average. I'm not expecting a very cold winter. Maybe as you get more to the interior Northeast, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, you'll see slightly below normal temperatures, but I expect the core of the cold to be in the northern plains this year, heading towards the west coast. I'll explain the reasons why for that in a second. Down south, I do expect warmer than normal. It should be the presence of a ridge coming offshore, and that's going to bleed up into the southern mid-Atlantic too. So even Baltimore, Washington, again, I'm not expecting awfully cold winter conditions. If we look at now snowfall, which does not always correlate with temperatures, here's what I expect for snowfall. Very active season for the Pacific Northwest, bleeding into the Rocky Mountains. I think the ski conditions are going to be great this year. And then interior New England, and especially interior New England, into the Great Lakes, parts of the northern plains, I really expect a high impact winter for snowfall. And really Boston down to say, southern New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, I expect a good winter. I mean, I have slightly above average snowfall. That's definitely more than last year in many places. I think we're going to have a lot of action this year, and I think it comes on strong. The issue is going to be, folks, Central Jersey down, Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia. I think there's going to be a big battle zone here this year. I think there's going to be a lot more mixed events than white events. Again, I do expect a little bit of a ridge from the La Nina that we're seeing to pop up. I think it will be suppressed overall, but I'm not expecting a real high impact winter for these areas in orange. And then again, Central Jersey on up, this is going to be really the wild card to see what happens this year. But New England, I like your chances. Moving on here, when it comes to making a forecast, there's a lot of different things I look at. The first is obviously what's going on in the tropical Pacific. A lot of different patterns can develop there. This year we're looking like it's going to be a La Nina pattern. I'd say a weak to moderate La Nina. This is generally what a La Nina pattern does. You have a nice ridge of high pressure off the coast of the U.S., south of Alaska, which tends to develop a trough in the northwestern United States, and also tends to pop up a ridge along the southeast. And you have very dry conditions to the south, you have very active conditions in the west and central areas, and you have this battle zone that sets up in the northeast. But you can't just depend it on the La Nina. There's other factors going on this year that I think we have to look at. So for example, we'll look at a weather pattern called the QBO. Okay, this has to do with winds in the stratosphere near the equator. It has a lot to do with how heat gets transported to the poles. It can influence stratospheric warming, and in many cases blocking. When I say blocking, high pressure over Greenland and also high pressure over the Arctic. And we're going to be in what's called an easterly QBO this year. It's actually coming on now, and that's favorable for a negative North Atlantic oscillation and some blocking. So if we get a high pressure area over Greenland this year, which I think we have a chance of getting, and we go back to our La Nina pattern that I showed you before, you put a little bit more blocking than normal here, you're going to get this ridge that usually pops up to get suppressed. So we have to watch that. I'm factoring in this part of the forecast into the equation. I'm also taking a look at it in terms of solar activity and all these other factors. Where has it looked similar in the past? And this is an excellent image. It's actually from Weather Bell Joe DeLeo, and he took this from a study done in 1990. It shows with that QBO, so with an easterly QBO and a La Nina, you could see that southeast ridge tends to be more suppressed than in a westerly QBO and a La Nina, which is what we saw last year. So again, going back to that La Nina pattern, I expect that we will see a little more cold bleeding into the northeast United States. So before I get into the models, let's take a look at the sea surface temperatures. These really do drive the patterns. Here's our La Nina expected for the winter. We also have a nice warm area above the area cold that's coming into the west coast. I like to see that. Then have this neutral area out in the Pacific. If you blend all my analogs, so when does the atmosphere look the most similar historically, this is what it looks like. So you can see my analogs are showing, yes, the La Nina pattern, but that area of negatives is more towards the east. And I think that has to do more with the QBO that's factored into some of these analogs, and also some other factors like the low solar and stuff that I look at when I put these years together. And these are the years. Years like 2001, 1996 are on the table, guys. I do see some similarities. But again, it's going to be a little bit of a tough call on exactly where this cold centers. But I think that storm track's going to come right in off the Pacific, and there's going to be a lot of activity coast to coast, especially in the interior New England. Moving on here, one thing I look at is I took a look at, okay, what was the difference between some of the best analog years and some of the worst analog years in terms of having similar atmospheric conditions. And if we take a look here, if I could show it to you, where is it on here? I don't know if I have it. I don't think I have it, unfortunately. But basically what we want to see is, when we look at the sea surface temperatures, here we go. The best winters have had colder water here, warmer water to the north, warmer water to the south in La Nina. So this year, when we look at our temperature patterns, you could see it's not warm here. You don't want to see warm, but it's not necessarily really cold, so it's to be at neutral pattern. So going to the models, what are the models showing? You can see the models generally are trying to show this La Nina pattern. This is the CFSV2. It is starting to show that cold pool more move to the east, which is what I like to see. UK Met is typical La Nina. The JMA came out yesterday. This is more splitting the difference. The Brazilian, which I actually like for the winter, does show more of an active East Coast winter, which is more the higher impact analogs. And then you have my analogs, which are down here. So you can see the models have some similarities, some differences to my analogs. I blend all the stuff together, guys, when I make the winter forecast. I also think that things are going to get off to a quick start. The analogs are showing a fast start to winter this year. I agree with that. The models are actually indicating that too. So it'll be interesting to see if we get off to a fast start. That will be a big influence on if I think my winter forecast is on track or not. And again, overall trends in the models. This is the old CFS from last month, okay, and then we go to the new one, and you can see it is shifting that ridge a little more towards the coast and this cold pool, or negative, more towards the east, which does go along with, when you look at research, I guess, to show in these east QBOs, you do get a suppressed southeast ridge. So a lot of active weather coast to coast, not very cold, but very active. And again, for snowfall, ski season, ski areas, I think will do great. Central northern New Jersey, wild card. Southern New Jersey, big cities down here. I'm not that impressed. It will snow, but I think there's going to be a lot going on with liquid events this year. And New England will be great. Ski season out west will be great as well. So that's it, guys. That's my methodology. I also did look at things like snow cover and a few other factors, but I don't have any maps to show that. All right? Thanks for checking in.